Hello, and welcome you to another edition of Clutch Your Pearls with your host, Furious George. You're watching the fucking news. Hashtag TFN. Oh, darlings. We have to address the elephant in the room, my dears. The elephant in the room. And that is simply this. You're dependent. This is an intervention, darling. Your dependence has now made you sort of self-destruct, you see. And this is why you're having shortages and lack of awareness of what is going on. I think we need to discuss a little bit about how you can prevent this from happening, how you can prevent a second wave. You see, you've made yourself dependent on psychopaths. And because you have done this, there is no way for you to challenge them. You see, you cannot both be arrogant and dependent simultaneously, my dear. So in order to challenge these people, what you'll have to do is simply take back your resources. This has been the number one critique, I think, for most people these days. I suggest you decentralize your entire system back from scratch. Take back your food, or your food, your water, your fashion, your technology, your medicine. Take it back to the people again. It's very hard for you to succeed without skills, without knowledge, without training, without the understanding of your resources, how they work, how they're distributed, their waste disposal, and why, who controls those, who processes them. Because the work has to be done. Whether you do it or not is quite irrelevant. And if they do the work, then they get to dictate how it works, because they're the ones doing it. Now, mind you, they can also convince you to do so for them. They can manipulate it for their own benefit. Is this something that you're seeking? Do you wish to be dependent on psychopaths? They might control it very well, but they're only doing so for the favor of them, not for you. The downside of letting psychopaths control your resources is that they get to dictate how those resources function and can blackmail and keep you in debt from those things. That is why they've specifically taken the responsibility upon themselves. But only in the process of profit and control. They will privatize all of the gains, but they will socialize the loss to you. They're fine with socialism, so long as that socialism includes the loss. They're fine with it. You reap what you sow, darling. You should beware the free lunch. Nothing is free. Nothing is provided for free. There are always strings attached. It's how mobs work. They do something nice in exchange for debt to them. And this is exactly the system you're in. You've given up your right to water, to security, to privacy, to land, to technology use, to travel. You've given all these responsibilities up to the state, to corporations. You have no means in which to counteract them. Don't you see? You have nothing to circumvent them with. They control and own your resources. You've allowed them to do this. When you take them back, you can decide. It'd be hard to repress you if you control all of those aspects, wouldn't it? It'd be very difficult. There's a reason why you can't. You can complain, you can whine, but you have to learn how to do it yourself. As long as it's centralized to one specific thing, it would be very hard for you to fight it. You don't have any skills. Now you know why NAFTA was a crime against humanity when it was signed by the Clintons back in the day, in the early 90s. NAFTA removed all of the jobs that you had here. American jobs. From people that knew how to do trade skillcraft. Replaced it with robots. Now you know why they want robots. You just become a means to an end at this point. Once the robots can do all the jobs that we normally would be paid to do, there's no need for you. You're simply in the way to these people now. And they're going to go out swinging, especially as they realize that their actions get more and more unstable and wake more and more of us up to the reality of their control. And this entire matrix organism was designed for the benefit of the few against the very many. And we'll be left fighting over breadcrumbs until we take responsibility for our resources. And it is our responsibility to take. Your government is not responsible for you. You have no right to free healthcare. You're demanding the services of other people. That is not a right you have. It is not the government's responsibility to be your nanny, or your parents, or your siblings, or your spouse, or your children. Your state is there to protect your rights, not your health. It is your responsibility to take care of your health. Therefore, we will not concede to illegitimate authority figures. Authority has to prove its case, and when it doesn't, it is not an authority. And that is why none of these people demanding these things of you can do so. They may think they can. They might be able to trick you into thinking they can, but they cannot do it themselves. They can't. It is not a right they have. We have the right to free travel. We have the right to our own medicine. We have the right to devices of our own kind. We do not need approval from your state to exist. We do not need their approval. If you do not know what your rights are, you will not know how to defend them. And you're eroding them, day by day. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Rahm Emanuel. They never waste a crisis, darling. In fact, many of the times they manufacture, and if not manufacture, allow on purpose, omission, these things to occur in which to clamp down. Hegelian dialectic. Problem, reaction, solution. You see, a lot of your government agencies and bureaucracies wouldn't have a job if there were no problems. So they need there to be problems. And when there aren't, they need to contract them in order to get more power and more wealth. The only way to circumvent the abuse of minorities and the abuse of all people is to retract the power dynamic of your state. You need to retract its overarching use into your lives. It's dictating who you can see, what you can do, where you can go, what you can eat, what you can buy, what you have to look like. You've allowed them to dictate this. Your social problems are caused by an overinflation of your bureaucracy. You need to retract it, put it back in its proper function. Government does not need to be destroyed. It does not need to be abolished. We don't need a revolution. We need a reformation of minds. People that can critically think and become adults again, not children in grown bodies, not high schoolers. Scared people, pretending to be adults, but only when it suits their emotional desire. We can't wear ethics as a hobby. We either have ethics or we don't. It's really that simple. Glad you got me here while you still could. Listen to me ramble a bit in my Evelyn Duchess here, darling. Just threw something together real quick, you know how I am. Just throwing it together, sweetie. Be nice to mommy, sweetie. Be nice. All right. I wanted to get that out a bit. Just a bit of understanding dependency. If you were worried about your resources in the future, or at least right now, it's nothing until fall. It'll be much worse in fall. The prices will expand. The economy will get slowly back into its recessive mode, as it's going to. It will rebound on itself. And we hope you're prepared to survive the onslaught of that. But if you're dependent on these corporations, the same ones, and institutions that have openly not done anything for you since the foundation of their existence, I'm not sure why you think they would do so now. We think they might be leading you into a trap, a psyop of control. I would think long and hard before trusting people who have never offered to do anything for you, suddenly doing so now. I would be very, very cautious about your dependency. Your dependency is the key. All right, with that, I will talk to you all very soon. Another edition of Clutch Your Pearls with your host, Furious George. You're watching the news. #TFN. Toodles.